Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown. I am so excited about our guest today. At 30 years old, American gymnast Shawn Johnson East has accomplished a lifetime of achievements that include Olympic medals, a New York Times bestselling book, several businesses, a career in broadcast, and a Mirrorball trophy after winning Dancing with the Stars. Born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa, Shawn's girl next door charm led her to be named America's Sweetheart. After retiring from gymnastics in 2012, Shawn made appearances on several TV shows, including The Apprentice and Adventure Capitalist. Shawn married Andrew East, with whom she has documented her life with on their shared YouTube channel, which has over 405 million views, and a podcast which has climbed to number 2 on the overall charts. I had the best time interviewing Shawn today. She was just, honestly, the dream guest to have, especially being new to this. We had so much to talk about. We had a lot of things in common. We talk about, obviously, not this in common, her being one of the most accomplished gymnasts in history, and what that all entailed growing up in that lifestyle. We talked about what was so great about that, but also some of the things that were really hard. We talk about body image, which I think we both connected with having struggles in that, and how she has been able to combat that. She actually really inspired me in how I can continue to, I don't want to say, I guess recover and really love on my body. And she's just really inspiring. We talk about how she has transitioned from her life as a gymnast to now as a mom and a social media content creator. We talk about Shawn and her husband Andrew's new venture in this media conglomerate called Family Made, and their passion of bringing great content that focuses around families. We talk about being both Dancing with the Stars, Mirrorball champions, and what that experience was like. She's just the coolest, and I'm so thankful that she joined us today, and I think you're really going to enjoy the conversation. So here we go. Meet Shawn Johnson.
Very pregnant. Yeah.
How far along?
4 months, but a third. It looks like 9 months. So
well, you're so tiny.
Yeah, my husband gives me really large babies. Large.
Well, yeah,
seriously.
he's huge.
Yeah, my son was 10 pounds when he was born. He's
no.
Huge. Yes. Yeah. Lord help me.
10 pounds.
Yeah. 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 Great.
Wow. Do you enjoy pregnancy?
Hate it.
Okay, I love that.
Hate it.
Because I'm not obviously there yet. No, but it scares me.
I
and when
am
people
not
say
one
they
of
like
those.
it,
No.
like,
No.
would you? I mean, if you could, would you do a surrogate ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
If it was me still somehow, like if you cloned me and it was like
you could feel it, but
yeah,
like a little. When
but
you
then not
to.
have. If I could take it off at night,
yeah,
that'd be great to work out. But no, I am not a love pregnancy person. It is such a miracle. It's such a blessing. I would never it's such a blessing that I can get pregnant and hold a pregnancy and stuff. But no, I hate it.
Do you like the feeling of connect? Like, do you feel like it's actually connecting though? No.
Mm-mm.
Do you know?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I love this because I just kind of not grosses me out.
No,
but
it's
I'm
like an alien.
It doesn't. Yeah,
And
I
get claustrophobic. Like I get really oh my God, something's living in me. This is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
It freaks me out. Yeah. I love infants. Like I love the second baby is put in your arms. Yeah.
That's sweet because it's outside of you and you can touch it. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not sitting right here.
Yeah, and I get anxiety thinking about it. It just gets worse every day.
Oh gosh,
it gets better because it's growing, but it's
Do you find out if it's a?
We found out with our daughter. We didn't find out with we didn't find out with our daughter, our first one. We did a gender reveal with her son. We are not going to find out this time.
Okay, that's what I want to do.
It's amazing.
Because I love surprises.
Oh, it's the
Surprises are my
sweetest.
favorite, even though I try to
Figure it out.
I try to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's like my game.
Yeah.
It's like a movie, like a thriller or a murder mystery, something. I always figure it out, I feel
Yeah.
like. But with that, you really can't until it pops out.
It's the best. And it's the sweetest moment in the whole entire world. I feel like when you're pregnant as a woman, like the whole pregnancy is yours. A guy doesn't get it. They don't understand. But like when the doctor tells the husband or the partner for the first time and they get to tell you, it's like their moment. It was amazing.
So you're definitely doing it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yay!
Oh, we just jumped into pregnancy, guys.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Shawn Johnson. She's pregnant.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Shawn Johnson East. Sorry,
I don't care. He doesn't care either.
doesn't care.
He's used to it.
Yeah. Did you change? Have you changed most of your?
Yeah, it took me
You did.
We've been married 7 years.
You finally are like, okay.
We've been working on it for 7 years.
Yeah,
So
I think about that too. I don't know.
it's just hard. Like a guy doesn't have to deal with it. I had nothing against taking my husband's name.
Yeah. But it's like changing it on everything.
Changing it is so hard. Passports, TSA, businesses, LLC, like everything.
Yes.
And that takes time.
So 7 years later.
7 years later.
Shawn Johnson East is here.
There's still some confusing. My passport still says Shawn Johnson, which I don't know how that's even legal because my social security is Shawn East. So I just went to Israel and came back and they were fine.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
So,
how was that?
It was great.
Have you ever been?
No, we didn't get to stay in Israel. So we did that was just where we did a cruise and that's where it ported.
Yeah, I try to keep up with things.
No,
Greece?
It was in Greece.
Okay, yeah.
Which I am bad at geography. I don't know how Israel's close to Greece. That confuses me. But
I don't know either.
Maybe it's not.
I think it is.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, how close is it? I don't know. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It took a little while getting this to happen.
It did.
For both of us.
It did. I
But
apologize. And it took a while today.
I was like stuck in Europe last time.
Yes,
Which-
casually.
It's not bad.
Did you have like a canceled flight? Or a
Oh my
bunch of
gosh.
things?
No, it was a delayed flight and then there was no way I was going to make it in London. So then I got to stay in London for 2 days,
Which is amazing.
which was so nice.
London is great.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm back now.
Welcome home.
which
Also,
is
welcome
new
to
home.
Nashville.
Yeah,
We were so excited when we heard you were coming here.
I have loved it.
Good.
It was hard at first because I really felt like I found myself in a way in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
I lived there. And so moving here, I was just a bit nervous. I'm from Alabama.
Yep.
Just wasn't going to be like. Immediately, I'm like,
Yes.
oh, this feels really nice. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know where else I would want to be.
Same. I started in Iowa. We were in Brentwood, California
Oh,
for 3 years.
Did you love Brentwood?
Loved Brentwood.
Yeah,
It was home.
it's like the same thing
Yeah.
as Santa Monica. Like it's not fully like Los Angeles. It has like
No.
a little pocket.
And it has its own little world you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we loved it. And then we moved to Nashville with babies when we got pregnant. And it's been home. We love it here.
How long have you been here?
I mean, we've been here 12 years.
Okay.
So my husband went to Vanderbilt. So we've been here since he was in college.
Okay. How did y'all meet? Did you go to Vanderbilt?
No, not technically.
Okay.
I was supposed to go and then I dropped out. It was literally a week before college started. And okay, a lot of tangent conversations.
I
But
love it.
it was a week before I was supposed to start college
Mhm.
and I got offered to do The Apprentice. And so
You got to do The Apprentice.
it was great. It was great. It was Trump's last season. Which is a whole nother story. So I did that and then ended up doing college online through Penn State. But I met my husband. His oldest brother is an Olympic cyclist.
Okay.
And I met him at the Olympics. Not my husband, my husband's
When you
brother.
were like 16?
When I was there in 2012
Okay.
working. So
Okay.
I went to a track cycling event at the Olympics, which I know nothing about. And I met this USA athlete named Guy East, and he was explaining the event, and there was no like romance there, don't worry. But we were like talking, and at the end of the conversation, he said, I really want you to meet my younger brother. I was like, okay, whatever. set us up on a blind date, and we're 3 kids in now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yes.
The Olympics
The
made everything
Olympics.
happen for you.
It did. It did.
Which I really obviously want to talk about.
Okay. Yes.
Gymnastics, because I'm just so fascinated by it, because I was a cheerleader for 1 year and I hated flipping. It scared me. So I'm just fascinated by people who can do all these crazy things in the air, and that's you.
Okay, you are the most fascinating.
What?
I'm sorry. I've like slightly stalked your whole career. And because of Nastia and stuff, I watched you on Special Forces. Dude, you're a boss.
I think I blacked
You're
out.
intimidating.
I think I blacked out. No, I'm
She's
not.
a boss.
No, I swear I'm not. No, you are.
The Olympics is like mental. You've got that.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Because I feel like not only is it the physical part of it is so hard, which I want to talk about, but like mentally, how do you prepare for that at such a young age? Because I'm just a few years younger than you. And I remember watching it being like, how? I could never imagine that much pressure. Like, I'm just trying to survive being a teenager, and you're trying to do that plus win Olympic medals in front of millions of people, the world. That's a lot.
It is a lot, but I think thinking about it in that context makes it seem so much scarier than it actually is for who I was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 16 years old when I competed at the Olympics. I started gymnastics when I was 3. I started competing at the age of 6, which is all very normal in gymnastics. Like, that's kind of the normal.
You start at 6.
You start at 3. Usually you start gymnastics at 3.
Okay.
When you have a 3-year-old, which you'll learn someday, there aren't many things you can do with a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You can put him in ballet, you can do like a swim lesson, and you can do gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are like the only things that offer, or soccer.
I started dance at 3.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
And so I started gymnastics. It was really close to my house when I was 3, and I loved it. And then just normal trajectory for gymnastics, around the age of 6, you get the opportunity to like, almost like a dance recital. You get to compete,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like a 6-year-old dance recital. It's nothing crazy.
Okay.
But that kind of escalated because by the time I was 12, I made the USA national team.
Are you the youngest?
No, there's younger.
That make the like Olympic team or the USA? I don't know the difference.
So the USA
Cody.
national team is technically just like the highest level
Okay.
in gymnastics. That's not the Olympic team. It's the team that you would choose from
Okay.
once you become of age. So you have to be at least 16 years old to be selected for the Olympics. But I made that team at 12 and I started traveling internationally. But for me at that time as a kid, I ran track, I danced, I did my little hip hop and jazz. I was in soccer, I swam, I did gymnastics, just like as a normal kid would. And when things got more and more time consuming as I kind of got older, gymnastics was my favorite. And not to like take away from my career, but there was nothing extreme about it. I just loved gymnastics practice. And at the Olympics, I had been competing for 10 years. So I kind of had my routine. And I think because I was so young and so naive, I was not able to comprehend the capacity of like what was happening. Every once in a while, like the little thoughts would be like, oh, I'm at the Olympics, I need to do well. But if you put me at the Olympics now, I would choke. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, holy crap. There's how many millions of people watching this? But back then I wasn't able to do that.
You just loved to compete.
I loved it.
But do you consider yourself were you always a naturally competitive person, or did you just like to do gymnastics? It didn't matter about winning?
No, I'm very competitive at everything. It's very unhealthy.
I get it.
Yeah. So are you.
I try to pretend like I'm not, though.
But you are.
But I am.
Yes.
I just want to do my best, and I get very, I'm just like very critical. And it's not even that I'm like, I want to be better than I was before and everything. I think that's great. But I also want to be better than other people.
Yes. But your whole mindset of like wanting to be better than other people was my entire mindset my whole career in gymnastics. Because I idolized all of these girls that I was competing with, and I would watch them and be like, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so I would go back to the gym and be like, can we try her skills? And like I would chase all of these athletes for years. And I remember the moment standing at a competition where I was on the first place podium and the two girls that I idolized were next to me. And I literally, it was like imposter syndrome times a million. I was like, I need to get off this podium right now. Like, I don't want to make them mad. They are my idols. They're my heroes. A judge got something wrong. And that's kind of how I felt my whole career.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, okay, I know Nastia, and obviously y'all competed against each other, but then on the same team. What is
Yeah.
that like when you have to have like that camaraderie in some aspects, but then you're like, no, I want to beat you.
It's very difficult. And I think it was really hard for us back in the day because we were 16-year-old kids. And so, or 16-year-old girls, which is even harder. It's like high school, but on the Olympic stadium. Me and Nastia and then Alicia and Bridget and all of our teammates, we were used to it. We were used to kind of flipping that switch where one day we'd have to compete against each other and be each other's top competitors. But then the next day it'd be like we're all working together to compete against China and Russia. We were used to that, but it did make it really hard because it made it hard to always feel like a really bonded team. You always kind of felt like you had a guard up. We don't feel that way anymore. We're like best friends. But it was difficult in the moment to like be super warm because you didn't know what side of your competition angle you had to have on.
Absolutely. I mean, in Northport, Alabama, on my dance team company, it was the same. I mean, I think that's the nature of dance or gymnastics. It's like you do the group, dances. You all want to be the best. So you're helping each other out. But then when it comes to the solo competitions, it's like, oh dang, she's doing that. I need to go back and I need to do. She's doing a triple. I need to make sure that I did get the quad.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you like fully be friends and like a confidant at that age?
It was really hard with Nasty and I because we were best friends as well. And we were the most similar competitors. So at the Olympics, our coaches like selected who we would room with. Because our Olympic apartment, if you can picture it, it's like a common area and then there's 3 bedrooms for all 6 of us girls. And so I was selected to like room with Sam or Alicia or someone. And Nasty and I were like, no, we want to room together. We go to bed at the same time. We have the same habits. We want to read. We want to watch our movies. Like, we don't want to socialize. We want to like whatever. And so we roomed together our entire Olympic Games. We were best friends and still are. Kind of sorting that out after the Olympics was difficult because of all the like chaos of media and brand partnerships and stuff. But it was strange.
Well, I know Nastia's schedule. I mean, she told me her dad was her coach.
Yes.
It was very intense.
Yeah.
Was your training as intense as Nastia's? Is that just how it is?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I had a very different upbringing in gymnastics. And I was very lucky. And there's no like right or wrong way. But my coach, like summarize his life story. He was born and raised in Beijing, China. And he was a world champion gymnast for China. He was taken from his family at a very, very young age, put in a training facility, and raised to be nothing but a gymnast. So he wasn't able to like be a kid. And so he left China when he was in his 20s and moved to Des Moines, Iowa to coach gymnastics at the University of Iowa in exchange for learning English. And he said his entire dream coming to America was to start his own gym and raise Olympic gymnasts who are also able to be children. And children in the sense of like, they could go to Dairy Queen and they could go to school and they could have a family and still live with their family and not overtrain. So Nastia had a very rigorous schedule, and that was very normal for gymnastics. My coach was determined to do it differently. So I never trained more than 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I went to every football game, every school dance. My coach would drive us to Dairy Queen after practice. He would take us to Perkins on the weekends. He was like a giant kid. And I think because of it, I was able to leave the sport still loving it. which was really great.
I mean, I was a average dancer and I sometimes trained more than that.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible.
It was amazing.
Because I mean, when you think of that highest level, I was thinking when you started saying, oh yeah, I did soccer, I did dance. I'm like, how?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is really special that you still had that. You got to be a kid, but also a freaking gold medalist. Like I don't, were you just naturally, I do think, yes, there's something for like hard work, but there is some like innate ability. Wouldn't you say? Did you have that? And it was like evident?
I think, especially in gymnastics, by the time you get to the Olympic level, you have to have some sort of innate ability within the sport because it gets to be so difficult. So yes, I'm sure I was given some God-given talent for gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of led me down that path. But
I also have another question about just like you're so young when you compete. Why are the athletes in gymnastics like? Why do you have to be so young? Or it seems like everyone is.
Yeah, it seems like everyone is. It's just different. So, a couple of things. The old school tradition of gymnastics is young because of physiology, because of biology, because of the way girls' bodies work.
Mm-hmm.
Usually before puberty, you're more aerodynamic.
Yeah.
You're more of a twig. And within the sport of gymnastics, so much of it is mental and fear-based that before you hit puberty, you're usually more naive to jump off cliffs and flip and not think about what can happen. So usually within the sport of gymnastics, you see a shift in girls. When they hit puberty, they usually start being able to comprehend, oh my gosh, I could break my neck doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the weight of that risk and reward becomes harder to manage. So you either see girls tend to be very young or they tend to be later in their 20s. So they've matured enough to where they can hold the weight of that fear.
Mm-hmm.
So gymnasts tend to be young. It's just kind of a thing. But
that makes so much sense because I was such a little daredevil when I was little, but my dad just was one of those parents that was just very risk averse and would just be like, what are you doing? I would like hang over a swinging rope. Well, there was like, have you been to Rock City?
No.
It's in, I think it's in, is it in Tennessee or Alabama? Anyway, it's somewhere, it's close, driving distance. And there's this like swinging rope bridge. And I just started hanging off of it.
Oh, good.
And I can remember being like, oh, this was so fun. And my dad ripping me up, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. We're on rope swing. Like, it's like a rope swing. And he's like, look down there. You could like fall. I would do things like that. But then I had a really bad accident. I went to the circus for the first time and I loved the acrobats in first grade. And I was like, oh, I think I can do that.
Yes.
Got back home, got on the swing.
Yes.
Just thought I could jump out and do a somersault, and it didn't work out very well. And I snapped both of my wrists.
Okay.
Shaved all the vertebrae in my back, had a concussion, and had 18 stitches in my chin.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no, I would have been paralyzed from the neck down if I wouldn't have put my hands out.
Oh my gosh.
Because I went to the circus one time and thought, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So after that, I think I realized that it's scary.
Yes.
But before that, I think I would have actually really liked gymnastics.
Absolutely.
I love doing like scary things.
And that's why I fell in love with it. It made me feel like Superwoman. Like flipping on a 4-inch beam made me feel invincible. And I loved it.
It makes me feel invincible for you, watching you do that. Like, I don't know. I can totally remember watching you compete and being in awe. It was the only, to be honest, it's the only thing I really cared about in the Olympics.
Great. Love that.
I mean, I don't know. Y'all were both like two like really cute, strong girls that also like totally different.
Completely. Polar opposite.
But I don't know. I remember just being really inspired, even as a young girl, being like, wow, it's like, I could see myself in you
Absolutely.
guys. It was really cool.
Well, I still think you could have done it. After watching you on Special Forces.
No, You haven't watched
After
me try to
watching
do
it.
a back handspring. It's really.
I'll teach you. Well, I'll take you to the gym.
Actually, I would love that. Maybe
Done. Deal.
I mean,
I taught my husband how to
totally,
flip, which is he's not a natural.
and he did it.
Oh yeah. Scared the crap out of me.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna try it. I don't know. Last time I did it, it was terrifying. I think
Last time you did it.
I tried to do it because I was a cheerleader
Oh, then
one time,
easy.
and but I had snapped my wrist, so like every time I did anything, it just
PTSD.
it hurts, and I think I'm gonna hit the
We'll work
concrete.
up to it.
Yeah,
We'll just teach you how to flip instead of do a back handspring.
what's the
Easier
difference?
anyways. No hands.
Like a tuck.
Absolutely. Oh, you are a cheerleader. Well, like a tuck.
I mean,
Love it.
1 year, 7th grade. I don't know if I can. I had the pictures to prove it. I wasn't very good. I could do the dance though. Which,
Great.
speaking of,
I was there. I watched you.
but you are a Dancing with the Star champion. You went straight from the Olympics 2008, 2009, when
Yep.
Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
What was the time in between all that?
So the Olympics finished in August. I went on tour with the team
Okay.
until November, and then I think we started dancing in February.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah,
What was that experience like for you?
I loved every second of it.
Well, you had the best dance partners.
Yes, I was
And-
very lucky.
I mean, I didn't know. I knew that you did it twice. I remember you with Derek, but I didn't know you had Mark. And they are the dream dance partners. They're
Yes.
so creative. Their choreography is amazing. Oh, I'm not going to ask you. I was like, who would you pick? No.
I know. People ask me all the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, there isn't an answer because I don't think I could have handled Derek at 16. And I don't think, like, I love Mark to death. He's my brother.
Yeah.
But, like, doing it a second time with my brother, we probably would have, like, punched each other in the face. Mark was so perfect for me at 16.
Mhm.
He took me under his wing. He was my big brother. And he, like, held my hand through the whole process. I was so nervous.
Were you nervous? I feel
Oh my
like
gosh. So gymnastics is I am a very, very shy person by nature. I
Mhm.
am not extroverted, outgoing. You have to pull teeth to get me on like a dance floor at a wedding or something. Like I'm very shy. Gymnastics is very rigid. It's very
Mhm.
choreographed, no emotion. You get to like live within your body. Dancing on the first day, they're like, shake it and show me whatever. I'm like, oh my, no, no, thank you. And I was 16 at the time. I had never really like had a relationship with a guy. So the whole like act like you're in love with me. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, it's
I don't know if I've ever like danced with a guy, you know?
I remember being like, he's like, okay, get closer. And I'm like,
I'm basically kissing you. What are you talking about?
I can feel things on my legs. Stop.
Yes.
You're like, it's just very intimate. And
Very.
at 6, I mean, that was me at 25.
Yeah.
Feeling like
Yes.
this is very intimate and you're like way in my space. At 16, I would have been
Yeah.
so uncomfortable.
I was so lucky. I was the youngest contestant that Dancing had ever had on the show up until that point. So they went to every possible length to make sure they never crossed a line.
Mhm.
Things didn't look intimate. They made sure to respect that I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And Mark was just perfect for that.
Yes.
He would take me out to the movies every day. He'd take me he was just my big brother. And then fast forward to the All-Star season with Derek. I think I was just more prepared for his mindset at that age because I was 20
Mhm.
years old and he means business.
I've always been interested because I mean, he's won, I think, more than
Yeah.
anyone. And he's just so impressive. Anything that he does, like I am like fully invested in. I'm like, you are the most talented person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes.
But yeah, what is he like in the dance studio? Because I was it was tough for me.
Who are you
For
with
sure.
again?
Alan.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Derek in the dance studio, I'm still so close with him. He's like another brother. And again, because of Mark and Derek, because they're like brothers, I spent every waking second with both of them. I remember when they announced that I had Derek, Mark was so pissed. He was so pissed.
Were you excited to have a new partner, or did you want to be with Mark?
I liked the idea of a new partner just
Mhm.
as a challenge.
Yeah.
But Mark was my safe zone. Like, he was my comfort. So part of me was like really sad
Mm-hmm.
because going back on a show that's so vulnerable, I was like, I kind of need Mark to make sure he holds my hand again.
Yeah.
But because it was Derek and I knew Derek already so well, I was really excited. But Derek in a studio, I've just explained it as like pure genius. And it's so hard to keep up with
Mm-hmm.
because his brain works so fast and it's creating and just, I think he is able to see so much more than we are when he's
Mhm.
creating something. And I remember so many times we would get in arguments because he'd be like, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you remembering the steps? And I'd be like, Derek, you haven't taught me yet. Like, it's in your brain, but you forgot to teach me. And I just loved the challenge. I was trying to make another Olympic team, had kind of an identity crisis, ended up retiring and got to go back on dancing because I wasn't going to the Olympics anymore. And it was such a challenge that I needed. And he was like the perfect fit at that time, which was great.
So I watched most of your dances last night.
Oh, gosh.
No. The stuff you were doing with Derek was so hard.
It was very hard. It was very hard.
Like, insane.
Yeah.
How many hours did y'all practice?
All day.
All day, yeah.
All day. So
Like, you were so much better than me. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's different every season, like what you have to do, but
it's very different every season.
Y'all's choreography was so intense.
So that season was harder because when we showed up on day one, they knew that everybody had a season under their belt. So on the opening night, we had 3 dances. And the stakes were just so much higher.
Mhm.
So we spent every waking second, Sunday to Saturday, in a studio. I mean, we were never not in a studio.
Yeah, I was like that. I think I put in the most hours. I was also in a really bad mental place. So I'm like, I don't want to go back home with my thoughts. So let's just stay in the studio. So yeah, it was so intense.
Yeah.
But do you feel like gymnastics really helped you go into ballroom dancing?
I don't think it helped with the movements. I think it actually made it harder because gymnastics is so rigid, I didn't know how to like move freely.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, like, learning choreography, remembering, having the discipline and the just like regimented lifestyle,
Yeah,
it definitely helped.
for
Like,
sure.
I knew how to go into a studio for 10 hours and be there. Like,
Yeah.
I could do that. I loved it.
I did. I liked it
I loved
too.
it.
Kind of. I got in a lot of fights. It was really dramatic.
Fights with Alan?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we were just in totally two different places in our lives and like the way we communicate with each other. And I was on the verge of a mental breakdown, every 5 seconds. It was bad.
Well,
I tried to go to therapy one time during I couldn't even make it because I had to go film something for it. And I was on the way and I was like, F it. I'm just going to have to be fucked up for a little while.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was really like that. It was, I tried one time.
Your transition was hard too because you were coming off of something so emotional.
Yeah. I mean, it was a few months, I think. Yeah. That's why I asked the time in between because I think that makes it really hard. And I was in Los Angeles for the first time. I had never been outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It was just a lot.
It's a lot.
But so thankful for that experience.
Yes.
It was so hard.
Yes.
But now when I look back, I'm like, I wish I would have been not so crazy because it was so fun.
I will say that's why I fell in love with dancing 100 times more during the All-Star season because I was the same way during my first season at 16. I loved it, but I was so insecure. I was dealing with so much stuff. And going back and having that under your belt and being able to be like, okay, let's enjoy this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot more fun the second time.
I know.
around.
I would love. They haven't done another All-Star seasons, but they did.
They're due for one.
I would love to do it in a good mental state, to just enjoy it.
Yes.
I don't feel like I could fully enjoy it because I was bound and determined to win.
Yeah.
Like I had nothing. I'm like, I am winning. I don't care what I have to do. I will stay here forever. I mean, I had like a broken toe, didn't care.
Yeah.
Everything about me was falling apart. Let's practice some more. You know, like I just was, but it paid off.
It did.
You know,
Yeah.
it did it. What was it? Okay, you came in second.
Mhm.
I mean, you killed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know. I just think it's so cool that
I think that's majority of my partners. I mean,
you did have to
you
be
even
there.
said it. Like Mark and Derek are the best.
They are the best.
And you even know it, like when they announce the lineups every year, like who has Mark and who has Derek. They're going to probably be in the final three.
Because they're just like genius. And I think they know how to work with whoever they have and to show their strengths.
Yes. Whereas there's a lot that don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
And they just choreograph amazing choreography that people can't keep up with. And I will say, like, they're very good at shoving you around the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good at it.
You're supposed to be right here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they'll like, there were a couple times where I would get off tempo or whatever.
Mhm.
And going back and watching, they would like re-choreograph on the spot to make it look like there wasn't a mistake. I'm like, you're a genius. Thank you for making me look good.
Well, you said earlier that you were so nervous. Like what about the show made you nervous or insecure? I can probably guess some of the things, but yeah, what was so nerve-wracking hard about Dancing with the Stars that people might not know?
I mean, for me, the first time at 16, there was a lot. So I was 16. I had never been on like national. I had never done anything at that level besides gymnastics. And coming right off of the Olympics, winning an Olympic gold medal, everyone expects you to be good.
True. And I'm thinking of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just like won a gold medal. Everything else is going to be a piece of cake.
Yes.
But I guess it's like the expectation there for sure.
And being so shy and having to figure out how to like show emotion and not to like go into like those details, but like I was going through puberty because I had just finished gymnastics and I had to go through puberty on national television and be scrutinized and like going from a leotard to like these outfits and like I was just such an insecure 16-year-old. I only really had my confidence in gymnastics. I hadn't learned it anywhere else. And trying to figure that out while the entire world's like judging you was really hard. I will say the second time around, I just was nervous about everything. I didn't want to trip and fall on my face. Didn't want to have wardrobe malfunctions.
I had that.
Oh, good.
It's horrible because I was sweating so much and I tried and
oh yeah.
Yeah, not good. I kind of want to get into because I also, like I said, grew up kind of in front of a mirror looking at myself in a leotard. And then also when you talking about Dancing with the Stars, every one of the girl dancers there has like the most amazing body ever.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
And it was so, and I've never like been overweight or anything, but I just remember being like so insecure. But that started like way early for me. But then when you're on, like you said, on national television in these like little tiny
pieces of fabric.
Yeah. Shaken.
Yeah.
It was so, my mind was so messed up. And I'm like, oh, my thighs are getting better because I'm having to do all these different exercise and my feet grew to a size 11 because they were so swollen. My freaking calves were like, my ankle, there was no start and finish because I was so like inflamed.
Oh.
And it was just, it was a really insecure time for me. But like I said, something that was not new. Growing up, you know, having to be like in a leotard, did that
Oh yeah.
mess with you too?
I've been very open about it. I struggled with eating disorders for a very long time, severely. And I think it started and originated in gymnastics. I was very lucky with my coach. He was very aware of that kind of stuff and tried to work very hard to prevent it. He was always checking in with my parents about asking how I'm eating at home. And like he was very good at protecting his athletes that way. I will say though, when things got to be more and more serious with like the Olympics, gymnastics is subjective. It's not whoever crosses the finish line first. And you see Nastia and I, we're very different.
I mean, she is the smallest person.
Yes.
The thinnest person I've ever seen naturally.
Yes. And if you have followed, like if you were to research the history of gymnastics and the evolution of gymnastics, Nastia's body type is the typical gymnast from history. That's what they looked like. It was all about like artistry and almost like flexibility and dancer like qualities. And my body style was very modern. It was very new to gymnastics and something that people hadn't seen. And I knew that. I knew that by judges. I knew that by subjective points. And so throughout my career, I would try anything and everything I possibly could do to look like Nastia, which is not possible. I'm not
Yeah.
made that way. But it was always with the mindset of maybe if I was a little thinner, my subjective points would be a little better. And because I was such a kid, I didn't have a nutritionist. I didn't have a psychologist. I didn't have guidance there. And 2 + 2 = 4. Let's just eat less. And so it spiraled into this obsession after gymnastics, hitting puberty, putting on weight, on Dancing with the Stars in a tiny piece of fabric. People noticed and they didn't care. I was 16, said horrible things. And it just turned into a monster.
Yeah.
So,
No, I definitely relate to that. I mean, I can remember standing in the mirror at dance class and like all the girls and your children, you don't know, but like, oh, like you don't have a gap in your legs. You're supposed to have 3 gaps in your legs. And that stuck with me. I mean, it still sticks with me. I'm like, oh, I don't have a gap here. And I struggled because I also don't have a body type like Nastia. Like I've tried so hard.
Yes.
I've tried eating as minimal as possible. And it's just, it doesn't.
Yeah. No.
It's not going to always be that way, but it's also really hard. I've fluctuated weight in the public as an adult. And it's so hard. Even now, people are like, oh, you're so thin. What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. My body just does whatever it wants to. I really don't know how to control it. And it's definitely something that I still struggle with. How are you now?
A lot better. So when I was 19 years old and I was trying to do a second comeback for the Olympics, I had kind of put it in my mind that if I made it back to the Olympics, it was going to be in a healthy way. I didn't want to feel that again. And I was still actively struggling with eating disorders and like with body image issues. And so I hired a nutritionist and psychologist that I worked with every week for years. And I got to a point in gymnastics when I was within my comeback for the 2012 games where I kind of had to make a decision based off of the old school ways of gymnastics, where it was either sacrifice my health to continue going or walk away and protect who I was, like who I wanted to be. And I ended up walking away. I started Dancing with the Stars, everything. But I have worked with my nutritionist and psychologist for 10 years and they saved me. I think it was around meeting my husband. So probably 6 years after the Olympics, I felt stronger than ever and felt like I could like look at food and look in a mirror and not criticize. And I think the most life-changing like moment when it came to body image was when I got pregnant. I used to have nightmares about the day I got pregnant.
I mean, I've already talked about that. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah,
and I was really afraid of where my mind would go. And I don't know what happened, but when I got pregnant, my body no longer was mine. And it was like I was already thinking about the body of my child. And so it went away. And I dealt with it again postpartum, like when it was my body again. But it was the greatest feeling of my life. Because, I was like, I remember calling my nutritionist and I was like, my biggest fear is I won't eat enough. And I remember she started crying and she's like, I've never heard this from you, ever. She's like, you've always been afraid of eating too much, like in your life. She's like, now you want to make sure you eat enough for your baby. And it was cool. It was beautiful.
That is really beautiful. I'm like inspired by that.
Thank you.
Would you say if you had not gotten the help, because I also in the past few years have definitely understood the importance of like support, because the little thoughts in my head can be so loud, and without those people coming in, we are not our best self. Do you feel like if you would not have had the nutritionist and your psychologist come in, getting into that space of, okay, am I going to compete again and do the ways that like I'll be able to do it, but it might not be healthy? Would you have think you had chosen that route?
I don't know what my life would look like without them.
Yeah.
Truly. I was rapidly going down a very dark path.
Mm-hmm.
And I was addicted to Adderall. I was trying every fad diet known to mankind, starving myself. When I was of age, it would include alcohol, all these things. And they saved me from that, truly. I would not have been able to do it without help.
Yeah. No, my psychiatrist, I'm like,
Yes.
man, thank you.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
it just those thoughts, he calls them like ants, like they can just fully be so encompassing. And I don't know where I would be after just the way my life trajectory, I could never have like made that up.
Mm-mm.
It was so hard to be able to like balance all those things. And same, I mean, all the same things I struggle with. And so I'm just so thankful and like really encourage people that are dealing with that, how important that support and that help is.
It's just like I don't know, every session I did with my nutritionist, she would start the same way. She would ask what the voices are saying, which sounds like you're from a Sixth Sense movie or some kind. But she's like, what are the voices saying to you today or this week or whatever? And it's like to hear her be like another voice of just reason, it helped to like drown that out over the years.
Yeah, I'm very interested of working with a nutritionist, and I feel like I've really come a long way, but there still is, I think having an outside voice really helped me with just my relationship with food and not me just doing it on my own. I think would be great. I think now that like my hormones were so messed up. Yeah. And so understanding how to eat for my hormones has been helpful, but also there's always that fear, I think, for me of, oh gosh, what if they go out of whack again and I don't know what's going to happen, instead of just being like having that healthy relationship. That's me being very honest. Like
We've got a great girl for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, can you give me her number?
Honestly, though, that has become our relationship where we don't really talk every week ever or for the past few years, but I call her when I get pregnant. I call her like after pregnancy, and I call her in times where I'm like, Courtney, there was something weird going on with my body. Yeah. I am angry all the time. I can tell like my hormones are out of whack. And she's like, okay, let's figure it out.
Because I think if you've done all the yo-yo dieting and the whole restriction, I mean, it can be, for me at least, like, I'm like, what? I don't even know what to do. Like I feel like I have no control. And I think working with a specialist can kind of help you know how to just like maintain and really fuel your body and also get it back into a space where it feels still like yours. Like for me, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's when the extreme things happen. And then when they don't work, you're like, what?
Oh, yes.
You know? So yeah, I think that's definitely a takeaway for me. You said that you worked with psychologists during that time, but did you ever do anything for your like mental health while you were younger, like training? Like, did you have a therapist?
I didn't, and I really wish I did. I feel like that's a flaw within the gymnastic system that I think is changing right now, which is really good. But because you're so young, everybody figures you don't need it, which is almost like the opposite. Because you're so young, you should have it.
That's when all the trauma happens.
Yes. I worked with a sports psychologist the second time around.
Yeah.
From when I was 16 to 20, and he was amazing. But I wish I would have had that back in the day. My coach kind of acted as one. He was very good at like protecting your mind and like training your mind, but I think a professional would have been great.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for me it took me getting to like rock bottom to start with somebody. And it would have just been just that maintenance, and especially for the Olympics, you would think that would be like something that you would have to have. You would think.
So it's interesting with the Olympics. And again, a lot of this is being worked on as we speak and being fixed. But within the Olympics, you have like the United States Olympic governing body.
Mm-hmm.
But under that, every single sport has their own governing body that makes their own rules.
Okay.
So basically, if like USA Gymnastics has their own set of rules, the US Olympic governing body respects that.
Okay.
So USA Gymnastics never figured it was necessary to have psychologists. And
blows my mind because like you're the youngest competitors for the most part.
Yeah.
Wow.
We should probably have like tutors.
For sure. You didn't have
to get
tutors?
through high school. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Chaperones. Let's start there. Yeah.
Wow. So they're changing that now.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your relationship with the United States like Olympic team? I don't know if I'm saying that right now. Because of course there's been so much that has happened and changes that have needed to be happened for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah. Where do you stand with your relationship?
I walked away from the sport for a while when it hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Our sport hit rock bottom and affected all of us. And it was really hard because it's like you're going through a bad breakup. Like you hear the worst news possible. And so I left for a while. I knew I had dealt within my career with like corruption, and I had seen my coach was very aware, not of like everything that came to
was
light.
happening. Yeah.
But he was aware of like corruption within the government side of it, and he protected me from that. But I saw it too. And so I never really worked closely with USA Gymnastics because I just didn't respect a lot of people. But I will say I took my daughter this year, can't believe that was this year, to the first event that I've been to since I've like left the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But I took her to her first USA Gymnastics competition. And it was the Nastia Lukin Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also the American Cup, which is like an international competition for USA Gymnastics. And I got to meet the whole new governing body and see just the new atmosphere they've created. And it was really special. It like brought tears to my eyes walking through, just feeling, I don't know, how happy and how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
I love the new people. They're amazing.
That's really encouraging to hear. Would you want your daughter to have, I don't know, is she in gymnastics already? Like,
yeah, she is.
Would you want her to, aspire to do the Olympics?
I, as a parent, don't believe it's in my rights to create her life for her and choose her sports and her hobbies and her passions. If she goes down that route, I will be her number one cheerleader, but nothing more than that. I will not coach her.
Yeah.
It's her journey. It's not mine. My biggest fear with my daughter doing gymnastics is that the world will expect her to be good. And that's unfair for her. She should be able to be miserable at gymnastics and people still think that's fine. So I fear her expectations, but I don't know.
Does she love it?
She does.
Oh,
yeah.
Have you tried all the other things too? And that's like,
yeah. I put her in soccer. She hated it. I mean, she's only 3, you guys. So like, what 3-year-old loves soccer? But I put her in ballet. She hated it. She loves gymnastics, loves trampoline, loves running around. So we'll see.
How old's your son?
He will be 2 next month.
Would you will you try him in gymnastics as well? Or
yeah. I don't know men's gymnastics as well as women's, but I think gymnastics for any kid is so good.
That's like I'm like, I'm not going to play in my child's life, but I think for both like my children, I would want them to at least try gymnastics because of what you talked about, that kind of getting over fear and trying new things. I don't know. I think gymnastics is a great thing for a child to participate in at some point.
It teaches like coordination and like discipline. It's such
body
an amazing
awareness.
sport. Yeah. But if either of my children like pursue it, it'll be a great life lesson for me.
Yeah. That would be tough.
It will.
For sure.
It'll be hard not to like hand select a coach from China and ship him in here somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, got to protect your children and do what you got to do, though.
My coach moved to China.
Yeah.
So
oh, really?
He went back home. He's now the head coach of the Chinese Olympic team.
Oh, wow.
And I've always like joked with him. I'm like, if my kids,
you're coming back.
You're moving to Nashville. I'm not coming back to Des Moines. You're moving to Nashville. And he always laughs, but he'd probably do it.
Yeah. So I kind of want to transition to where you are now because you're separated. Like you've obviously done way more than being a gymnast, which you've accomplished like everything in that world. But your life, I mean, you're in the public eye. Like you're famous now. Like you were like, I don't know.
Just when to keep up with you.
No, whatever. That's really funny. When did you realize you were
funny?
When did you realize like, oh, everyone knows who I am?
Oh, I haven't. I still don't. I feel like it's what I said at the beginning, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's just this weird. I feel like the day that people realize they're like, oh, I'm famous, nothing good happens.
No, for sure.
And I have just lived this life of like, how on earth did I get here?
That's what I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Small town girl, Des Moines, Iowa. What happened?
At least you had some type of skill. I just went on a dating show.
You have skills. This is what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying like, you know, I think that's what I struggle with of like, how did this was never like my plan.
Yeah.
Just a weird life. And I'm sometimes like embarrassed of why people know me. We're like,
oh, I feel the same way because it makes sense in my mind. It makes sense for gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't know me from gymnastics anymore. They're like, I watched your TikTok. I'm like, that's embarrassing. Like
no,
I'm a TikToker.
That is what like a lot, I think I read a study of something, like a lot of children, that's like what they want to be when they grow up. So how did you, now obviously you're a content creator, YouTuber, TikToker, all the things.
I really moved up in my life.
I mean,
I went from
it is a huge business.
It is.
And it, I'm sure, has been great for your family. What made you decide to kind of lean into that route?
My husband. I feel like you've met him a couple times.
Yes.
Yeah. He's special.
Did he, was he already doing that?
No. No, he didn't. He just figured it out one day. He was bouncing around the NFL. And if you were to have met his dad when he was here, his dad, from the day he was born, filmed every waking second of his life. It's just how dad was. And he would categorize, DVDs or movies into like, this is my son's first birth and this is his first, like every waking second. And so I think my husband gets it from his dad because when we started dating, Andrew filmed everything. Similar. And
Adam's over here and literally he is the only reason we have any pictures, any videos, because I'm not that way at all.
Same. Oh, I don't film anything. But I do ask him, I'm like, did you take any pictures the other day? Can I
let me see
those
those pictures.
Yeah.
Let me see what that one looked like.
But when he was bouncing on the NFL, he started documenting his whole process and he started making YouTube videos. And he had so much downtime, if you were to talk to him, he had so much downtime that he kind of went down this rabbit hole of learning the world of YouTube. And he's like the most interesting man. He picks up a new hobby every single day. Lexi can tell you that. He starts a new project every day. He starts a new business every day. Okay.
Oh, that's today.
Why not? He did get his pilot's license.
Oh, that's really cool.
Randomly.
That's cool, though.
He never had an interest in planes. Someone literally at a bar one day was like, you should get your pilot's license. He's like, okay. 4 months later, he's got his pilot's license.
Okay, that's kind of attractive.
It's very attractive, but it's also like I'm chasing down his hobby.
What are we doing
right
now?
So he went down this rabbit hole of YouTube and probably a year into it asked me to kind of quit everything that I was doing in like corporate, traditional, like broadcasting, ambassadorship, and sponsorship worlds. Truly like athlete advertising back in the day.
Because that's the normal progression.
Yes. And that's what I
Yes.
was doing. I was
Yeah.
doing the speaking engagements. I was working for McDonald's. I was
Mhm.
all of the things. And he said, how about you quit that and we'll go full time? And I thought he was absolutely crazy. But I remember posting our first YouTube video and it being the most freeing feeling in the world. Instead of having these people cut my own story for me and tell the world who I was, I actually got to tell them who I was.
Mhm.
And I got to wear what I wanted and say what I wanted. And it just kind of opened a door. And we now do family content and celebrate families and marriage and cool things, children. Yeah. And
So
it's just fun.
you're like totally on board, love it, glad that this is kind of where you chose this.
We did.
It wasn't just waiting for the next thing to come up, what the agent has for you, I feel like that is very freeing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I think because of like our age and what phase of life we're in, we see it as this like either weapon or power. I mean,
Mhm.
it can create such evil in the world, and we've seen that firsthand. And we see it as a responsibility. We have been given followers and this fan base that we don't understand, but we truly see it as a responsibility to like steward that really well every day.
I love that. I mean, even with this podcast, and I dabbled in YouTube. I'm coming back.
You gotta
We're
come
back
back.
because I really do. I love it. I don't like the editing part. I just want to
We can
be.
fix that.
I just want to be me.
Yes.
And I will make a show. But it is so nice to just be able to have my own thing that nobody else has control over. It's showing fully like my most vulnerable side, which can be scary, but there's also like I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's so much noise.
Yes.
So much noise. And I know that if we both, as we talked about, like can get caught up in comparison and seeing what Joe Schmo's doing over there and feeling like we're not doing enough, like I don't want to add to that for anybody else. And that's why like this podcast is so important to me and any type of content that I put out now, because I do think it's a duty.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's not many of us doing that, and we need to like amplify that. And that's what I think is so cool. I don't know much about it, but I did see that y'all partnered with Family Made, or you tell me more about what that is.
Yes. So we founded Family Made.
Founded.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
It's a media network.
Okay.
So kind of a conglomerate, but we represent 14 podcasts, YouTube, and then 14 podcasts, YouTube shows, short form content creators, but all revolving around family lifestyle and family friendly content, but like good influencing people.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts with raising children in this day and age? And like, do you have restrictions for them? I mean, I just think about what will come across my TikTok feed and how do you control that? And then I'll ask my other question about them being a part of it as well.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
So luckily my 3-year-old's not scrolling TikTok yet. But I will say, I don't think we're living in a world where it's going to go away anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
People can wish for social media to go away. I don't think it's going anywhere. So with that being said, our kids are going to become teenagers someday. Whether we ban social media from our household or not, they're going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So jumping to that conclusion, I think it's my job to teach them from day one how to navigate it in the best way possible. And I think that is starting from the ground up and teaching them good values and teaching them right from wrong and what's good and what's evil, what's a good influence, what's not, and praying that they can just get through it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you do show your children in your content.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some people in the public eye that are like totally against that. And then obviously you see so many that, share their whole life. How did you come to make that decision? What type of boundaries do you have for that, if any?
Boundaries are kind of a decision on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
We don't post anything that could be embarrassing to our children. I don't want them to grow up someday and look back and be like, why would you ever have posted this? Why would you have talked about me that way? Whatever. So we try to always think of what respects them. And then our kind of boundary that we've written out, which is very vague, but it's just our idea, is everything has to be through the lens of a parent. So our content is not about our children. It's about us and it's about our parenting. So we technically don't need to show them to talk about parenting. And if our daughter turns 5 and says, don't ever take another picture of me, great. She will never be on our social platforms again. And we can even tell you we've done shoots where our 3-year-old doesn't want to be filmed and we're not going to film her. If we don't force anything. But I don't know. It's terrifying and we try to navigate it every day. I feel like our boundaries move. But I think they get like more and more strict all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you have to with how much is like coming at us at all times. I didn't know how many boundaries I have to put on myself.
Yeah.
Is there ever days where you're like, I do not want to film and do this. I just want to go live on an island and throw my phone into the ocean. I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe this is other fantasies I have for myself. Do you ever feel that?
Yes, all the time. We went to, where did we go the other day? We went to Cayman Islands not too long ago for like a husband and wife getaway. And I literally said that to my husband. I was like, could we just like ever just move here, throw it all away, just live a quiet life? And he was like, first, no. We would move to like Indianapolis with our family. I was like, okay, humor me for a second. But yes, I get burnt out a lot. I have a really hard time showing my life. I'm, like I told you, very shy, very introverted. My family is my little happy place, comfort. So yeah, it's kind of a love or hate every day.
Yeah, because I want to I can like totally go like silent for 2 weeks. People are like, where did you go? I'm like,
Yeah.
it stresses me out a lot. I feel like there's always so much to like keep up with. It's a really hard job.
Yeah.
People like will, roll their eyes about a content creation. It's so hard. It's all consuming. You're always thinking about, oh, is this something that we should film? Oh, are we going to need this for backlogs? I mean, you're constantly thinking about what will be entertainment in your life. And you can't, for me, I don't know. I have a hard time balancing just being in the present and doing that because I can be very like one track minded. So that's why thank goodness Adam does take the content because we would have none. But I do enjoy it once it's done.
Yeah.
I need the tips on how to do it because I do think it's great. And just like you said, to be able to, not that I think I'm like the perfect role model. I'm definitely not, but I do think I don't know how to be anything other than authentic. And I think that's refreshing for people and is needed. We need more of that. And that's why I think it's so great that y'all have started Family Made because we need more people to step up and do that. But it's doing it. That is so hard. And yeah, I need tips. I need advice.
I will say one boundary that we kind of didn't implement on purpose, but it's just kind of happened over the years is we found ourselves in that position where every like moment of our life, it was kind of like, oh, should I take a picture for Instagram right now? Would this be a good like ad placement or whatever it was? And every time my husband pulled out his phone, I was like, wait, are you filming for Instagram or are you filming because you like want to film as a husband? And that was really hard for us. I could never like turn it on or turn it off. And so something that we started doing, which I don't think people know, sorry if this is a buzzkill, but we never post in the moment anymore, ever. Every single thing is backlogged, at least by a day, if not 2 days a week, a month. But nothing is happening in real time. And it's been so liberating. We document our life throughout the day and throughout the week and throughout vacations. And then when we're done with it, we're like, oh, this might be a good picture for Instagram. Let's post that. But it's never fabricated for platforms anymore. It's truly just whatever's on my husband's phone.
I love that. And that's so interesting you said that because I just went to this trip in Portugal and I tried to do some things in the moment, but then I was like, oh, it's too hard. Day 2, didn't do it. But I still have all this content because I wanted to capture it. But then I think I have this like struggle with like, oh, does it need to be in the moment or not?
Nobody knows.
But nobody knows.
Yeah.
Except for me.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good boundary, actually. And then also it's kind of like safe.
Yeah.
It's like putting some safety restrictions because Adam would be like, why did you just say where we were? And not that like we have that many crazy people. I love that. And I feel like it would be really liberating.
It is. And it can make the work side of it a little bit harder because you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't capture whatever. But it makes it so much more enjoyable to just live your life and be like, let's make something out of this. We now have like editors where I'm like, this is what we got. What can you make? And they're like, oh,
that's what I do to Adam. I'm like, here, figure this out.
Yeah.
I know. That's such a talent in itself. It's really hard to be like the person. Do you follow Emma Chamberlain at all?
Yes.
Okay. Like I know now she probably has editors, but like that she could edit that way and be like the talent, I guess, in front. Like you are talented in 2 different rights. I mean, they're polar opposite things. And for me, like the editing takes me like 4 years to do a 4-minute video.
Oh, I can't edit.
Okay.
I've never edited.
Okay.
Oh, I edited one video. I edited one video and it was like therapy editing. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so good because I'm like, I can't do this.
No.
It's so bad.
No.
And
I don't even know how to use Final Cut Pro. Are you kidding me?
Oh
I think I've used, what's the one that's on your phone? I don't even know the name of it. iMovie?
Oh yeah, that's the only one I know how to use. And it's not good.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay. I don't know how to make
I don't know how to make like TikTok videos.
Oh,
where
see,
all the
I tried
transitions and the
so hard.
Nope. Lexi's like, oh God.
Lexi, you got some friends. Oh, well, we have Natalie now. She's gonna help with that because it's too hard.
Yeah. So Andrew has always been the editor. He's offloaded to now we have a team of editors.
Oh, so he knew how to do all that stuff.
Yeah, he was the OG editor.
OG YouTuber too.
He was the OG YouTuber.
Adam's trying to learn how to do some of that stuff. So he enjoys it more.
So does Andrew.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it.
I don't either.
No, thank you.
This is great. Now
I can watch it
I feel
back.
Validated.
Yeah. I can watch it back and be like, I don't like it.
Yes.
But I don't know how to fix it.
I'm like, hey, can you make this happen? I need you to like add this and do this. I don't know how that works, but I need you to do it. That's what I do.
And they're like, thanks, honey.
Well, I'm so excited because we're going to go on your podcast.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously I'm trying my best. I don't know what I'm doing, but how have
You're crushing. You're crushing it.
No. How is doing that together? The couples podcast.
We love it. I laugh because Lexi is sitting in the room and poor Lexi has had to witness a lot of fights that have happened because of the podcast. We call it marriage therapy. And you can just tell when things are going south and Lexi will just like exit the room. Like, I gotta go. But it's amazing. So our podcast is called Couple Things. And all we do is talk about things that relate to couples. So finances, marriage, dating, whatever it is. And so it's truly like marriage therapy. It's like like a solid hour where we can sit down and talk about so many things and with other couples. So it's so much fun. We love it. But it does tend, we probably like an argument a month, which isn't bad.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Do you capture it though, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Poor editor. We were literally filming a touchy subjects podcast the other day, like going through all the touchy subjects of marriage. And we were going through what are our touchiest subjects. And it was towards the end of the podcast. And our touchiest subject is dogs. It is. I treat dogs like absolute royalty.
And he doesn't?
He does.
I'm like,
there we go. Yes. So he just was raised in a family that treats dogs differently. Not like bad.
No,
they don't like abuse animals. Yeah. But It's like dogs aren't allowed in the bed, or like dogs that can't lay on the couch or whatever.
They don't have a portrait of their dog like we do.
No, yeah. House. I have like,
okay.
Yeah. I have like a custom made
do we.
Portrait.
Yeah.
Yes. But there was one argument that came up when we were dating over a dog, whatever, and we were reliving it, and it will never get resolved, ever. But our poor editor, I just was like, Caroline, around minute 48, just kind of like skim and maybe delete the whole thing. You don't have to listen, but it was good.
That is so funny. So what are your like big projects that you're working on now? Obviously the podcast.
I'd say podcast and Family Made is like our biggest. Family Made is a dream of ours of uplifting family content. And then a selfish little goal of mine is to become anonymous someday and quietly back into a dark hole of no longer posting my family. So
same.
Yeah.
You want to create something that lives on for itself and it doesn't have to have your name attached to it.
Yes.
That is my goal.
Which made me so happy when you're like, you partner with Family Made. I was like, yes, it's working.
No, well, I
didn't even know.
I think I saw it somewhere.
That makes me so happy.
Written like that.
That's my husband.
Oh, well, he did a great job.
He did like a public like announcement. He's like, we partnered with Family Made. I was
yes.
Like, what? It doesn't make sense, but okay.
Well, I honestly, I was confused because I was like,
yeah.
I'm like, I feel like they started this, but then it said it this way. So I'm going to say it like that.
Great.
So, but that is so great that you're even just like putting it out there that this is not about me. This is about what this is about, families and other people's stories. And it doesn't always have to be your own. So maybe we'll both be in the Cayman Islands one day.
I would love that.
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, this was so great.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much for coming on here and just making me feel comfortable and just sharing so much of yourself.
Oh, I've been sweating. I'm literally like,
oh no, well we had
nervous.
We had to turn the air off too. It's also just really hot. But I also am really excited to just get to hang out and you can show us all around all the best places in Nashville. And we have met Andrew before at the
all the workouts.
All the workouts.
You're at all the workouts, which is even more intimidating. I'm like, she's a boss.
Well, no, I'm not. Trust me. I'm like all the people around me, I'm like, they are like, when I say monsters, I mean that in a great way, like monster, like athletes. And I am over here like, what
you at least go to them.
But I do go. I try.
Which is wild. I didn't go to that.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were. But I also, the first time I met your husband, thought how he introduced himself. I knew he looked really familiar. And I'm not always good with like, I'm good with faces, but I don't always like know names. But he introduced himself. He was like, yeah, I'm friends with Nastia. We're my she's like, he said, we have a mutual friend, Nastia Lukin. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Where my mind goes to that is, oh my gosh, he's one of Nastia's ex. I even tell Adam, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's one of Nastia's ex. It has to be how he said it. I feel like. And then I get home and I'm like scrolling on Instagram. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, he's Shawn.
It's classic Andrew. I'm also surprised he didn't like aggressively hug you because he's like, he doesn't know any social boundary of any kind. So he's just like, hey, what's up? And he like hugs you and you're like, I don't know who you are.
No, he was so, we came home and be like, man, that guy, Nastia's ex. It's so nice. He's so cool.
Nastia will love that. So we actually used to all live together. And the funny joke is that me and Nastia are both Andrew's wives.
Well,
and he's like, we used to do this like dumb thing when we lived together where I'd be like, love you, babe. And then Nastia'd be like, love you, babe. And he'd be like, love you, girls. And it's like, it's so twisted and weird, but she'll think it's funny.
Yeah. So but he's the best. I can't wait to hang out with y'all more. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank y'all for listening. Make sure, I haven't done this yet, to like and subscribe. All right, that's it.